How many of you projectors would like to get more invitations without having to push for them, without having to try and convince someone to see you and like you? How many of you would just like to be seen, recognized, and invited for just who you are? So let's talk today about a few things that might be standing in the way between you and getting invited, and then also what to do to gain more invitations and recognition and to really get some momentum going. Does that sound good? All right. So the first thing standing in the way between you and more invitations is bitterness. And I like to talk, a lot of my old clients who've been with me a long time, you might recognize this phrasing. I like to call it, there's two different types of bitterness. There's the old crusty bitterness. That's kind of like if you are a bucket, that's what's the crust on the bottom of the bucket. The stuff that you really have to scrape at, that you kind of like, oh, it's okay if it keeps sitting there, it's old, it's fine. But that stuff is really deep in your aura. So your aura needs to be really clean. And this is for those of you who speak energetic language, right? But your aura needs to be really, really clean to bring those invitations in. So that old crusty bitterness at the bottom of your bucket is blocking your invitations. So what does that mean? What do you need to look at? You need to look at everything where you're still holding a grudge. And you need to look really, really closely because a lot of people say, okay, I've done the forgiveness work. But the reality of the situation doesn't look like you've done the forgiveness work all the way, right? In spiritual terms, the only thing that counts is the completion of the work. In spirituality, the universe, the creator doesn't care about how much time you've spent on doing the work. It only cares if you've completed it. So let's say you have an old grudge against your mom. I can speak from experience here. And you're like, oh, I had spent so much time forgiving her for like the things that happened between us in my childhood and as a teenager, but I was still feeling like some kind of resentment and grudge toward her. And what I really needed to get to was complete forgiveness. It didn't matter how much time I'd spent on it, I wasn't completely forgiving her yet. And that is because the energy of unconditional love. So, what does it mean when we haven't forgiven someone is we can't love them unconditionally. And unconditional love gets, I know we're going deep here. It's a trust me on this side excursion, but unconditional love is doesn't mean that you let people walk all over you. It just means that you accept them for their flaws and you love them for who they are. And that takes a lot, especially when you need to look at yourself as well. Like oftentimes when we haven't forgiven someone else for something, what we really need to look at is where we haven't forgiven ourselves to be a part of that. And as women, especially, we tend to go really, really hard and self-critic on ourselves. So I want you to soften to yourself and look where you haven't forgiven yourself and really start there. That will dissolve a lot of old, crusty bitterness at the bottom of your bucket. This is really important work and sometimes really hard for projectors because we just want to be able to live life like everyone else and just do our thing. But since we're such energetic human beings, the energetic work for us is number one. So getting in there, resolving all of that old, crusty grudge and bitterness is one of the most important things. I had a client once who just did that work with me, and then she filled up her calendar with one-on-one clients and got booked out within like a few weeks. So that is number one to look at. But there's also ongoing bitterness that you have to pay attention to because whenever you're in bitterness, it means you're just out of your own zone of genius, the flow, the flow of the universe. So that can be when you're tired at night, just go to bed. You can tell when you get bitter. You can tell when you get grumpy and sassy, right? A bitter projector is nothing that anyone wants to be around. So we need to have that handle on ourselves when we recognize, okay, I've crossed the line. I need to bow out and do something else or go to bed. Worst thing you can do for your business, write marketing copy or sales copy from when you're feeling bitter and judgmental. So that is something that you really, really need to look at for your invitations. Then anything that is lack, fear, or worry or doubt, that's also, and especially speaking from it and taking action on it or taking non-action on it is also really, really important. Like, there's this next level move you need to make, but it sounds really, really logical not to make it. Logic is often just, the best moves, your authority is never going to lead you to logic. My Now my voice is upgrading as we're speaking. Your authority will never lead you to a move that's logical for your next level. Everything that's logic, you want to re-investigate is the right word I'm looking for. Because logic is just the thing that wants you usually to talk you out of your next level. So that next level move, that you need to make in order to get there, the longer you're stalling on that, the longer you give the inner opponent and the negative side time to condition you in that lack, fear, worry, doubt mindset. So when you're not taking action from lack, worry, fear, doubt, it's the same bad as if you're taking action from it. So you really need to ask yourself at all times, what is my next level? What is my next level growth? What is my next level growth? What do I want to grow into? And that is also where you're creating your own momentum. Because now we're going to get into how to create invitations. And the main word here is momentum. You want to create momentum. You want to create energy. And when there's stagnation in your own life, when there's stagnation in your own being because you're not taking action from lack, fear, doubt, or worry, then there is no energy. Invitation is very much like a river that other people jump onto. You're kind of like riding your boat on the river. You're just doing your thing. You're keeping going. You're creating momentum. You're listening to your authority, you're listening to the creator, to your soul, to your higher guidance. You're like, what is the next big thing that I'm meant to do? And that is your undefined sacral, right? Your undefined sacral is so expansive and it has so much potential for energy and creation and creativity and momentum. But if you're looking at it and if you're using it for a small goal or just to serve your own needs and not to serve the greater good, you really want to create that huge momentum, that big why behind what are you doing all of these things for? What are the deeper things that matter to you? What is so much bigger than your fear, than your worry, than your doubt, than your lack thoughts that you can take action on, that you can create momentum from? Because once you create that momentum, and I'm sure you've had these moments in your life, so now I want you to go and remember what were those moments in your life where you've created momentum by taking uncomfortable action and like, I'm just doing this, let's go, even if you were like a little bit shy about it, right? But then you notice that the river is flowing and people can jump on. That's really what an invitation is. It's more like you're creating a river of momentum and people can jump onto it. So this is what I want to leave you with right now is those few things that you can work on that might be blocking you toward creating that momentum, toward creating that flow. And it's not like our invitations on or off, right? Sometimes your river is completely a stalling dirty puddle where no water is flowing and like of course no invitations are coming in. But as soon as you're creating some momentum with your undefined sacral in alignment with what the universe wants for you, what the creator, what your soul wants you to do, you start creating a little river where people are like, oh, look, there's momentum. And I see that as an invitation, so let me jump on. And then as you keep going on that path, the river will just get wider and wider and bigger and bigger. And that's where other people can jump on even more. You can serve more people. You can work less, serve more people, help more people at the same time. The broader, the wider, the bigger, the flowier your invitation river is, the more money you make, right? River, the flow is also the flow of abundance. So you need to start getting some momentum going again with your undefined sacral by asking the universe, asking the creator, starting to condition yourself to only listen to soul, not to fear, worry, lack, doubt, not to stay stagnant, not to take inaction. The other part of this is take uncomfortable action to create momentum that's in line with what the creator wants for you, because your soul always wants to grow. Your soul always needs to grow. Stagnation is nothing where you can create miracles from. So let me know if this is helpful. Like, subscribe, comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I would love to hear, even if you're wanting to use this as a accountability thing of just saying like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to create uncomfortable momentum and start creating invitations and more invitations and more abundance. I want to hear it in the comments, and we can all collectively, energetically hold each other accountable with this. So I love you. Keep going. You got this. Let's create more invitations. I'll see you in the next video.